Hi, I'm Jackie, and this is the Natural Healing Reel, the podcast that heals. Today, I have an incredible guest, of course. She is a spiritual life coach, an elite transformational mentor, the founder of the God Body Method. Taru Tuomi, welcome to the Natural Healing Reel.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here. Thank you for this opportunity.
So we're going to speak today about your journey. And where should we start?
Let me share a little bit of what I do, and I'll share how I got here, because the journey was incredible with all the ups and downs, and then you will see the full picture. So today I work as a spiritual teacher, and I bring my clients back home to God, to their true essence, and not God in the religious sense, God in the source energy that we all are made of, in that supernatural power that we all possess inside of us, but we were not taught. We are so conditioned with all the different programming. So most people are confused as to who they are truly deep within. And I didn't set out to become a spiritual teacher or guide my clients through this transformation back home to source and working with their supernatural powers. Like, I had no idea, because I was not raised in a spiritual environment. I was not brought up religiously. I had no relationship with God. So it is a journey that I have discovered on my own. And it began probably when I was very young. You know, I grew up in an orphanage. I didn't have a relationship with my parents. And so not having a kind of like a set structure around you in terms of what it means to be loved or unconditionally supported by somebody who's there for you, I had to figure that out by myself as I went on in my life. Now, I've been very lucky and blessed. Even through these challenges that I faced, I was always well protected. So I could see that from a very young age, that even though I was in an orphanage and a lot of people were traumatized and very badly hurt, and, you know, with difficult things happening all around me, I was always blessed. And I remember even the facilitator or the owner of the orphanage. He was a man, and he was very kind to me, and he kept telling me that there's a star looking out for me. There's a star that is by my side, always protects me. And I found that very interesting. So ever since I was very little, I had this feeling, this knowing that there's something protecting me. And it wasn't my mother, it wasn't my father, because they weren't in my life. And I didn't really know. You know, as a child, you can't compare. If you, maybe for other people, it may seem like my story is difficult and sad, but if you don't have anything to compare with, you just explore it for what it is, right? And so what I grew up knowing was that there is something that is protecting me, that there is something that is guiding me. And then for many years, I went on to explore my life in very many different ways. I was traveling abroad from a very young age. I moved from my step family, which I eventually moved into. I moved very early, like at 17 years old. I went out to explore the world by myself. I was always very courageous. And in every situation, every moment that I have been in, even the most difficult ones, like when I found myself in Egypt by myself, and I had smoked weed with some 25-year-old Egyptian boy, and I got scared, and I started shouting in the middle of this desert environment, and two priests came to me and brought me to the police station. Like, I have so many stories where just God was there supporting me. Like, I was never hurt. Even when I did the most stupid things, it was like there was a golden thread that was just part of my life that made me understand that there is something profound here that just doesn't want me to get hurt, and that wants to help me. So
that's so beautiful. I love that. That is
yeah.
So beautiful.
So and then eventually I went on a sailing journey for 7 years. I lived on a sailboat with my then partner. He was a sailor. I had never sailed before, but we went on this journey for 7 years. And I think that was the beginning of me understanding that, wait a minute, I need to do something with this, because we could find ourselves in these huge storms. We were chased by hurricane twice. And it was like even in these crazy moments, my ex-partner, he's a French, very temperamental man, and he would be shouting and screaming, you know, obviously wanting to keep everything under control. He was afraid for our lives and damaging the boat. Whereas I found my peace in these moments. And I found the understanding that there is nothing I need to do here. I can just surrender and let it go. And I started to notice that the more I let go and surrendered into what was, the more support came to me. It was like I could shift the weather almost just by calming him down, calming myself down, and just trusting what I would call today God, but I didn't call it God back then. So that was the beginning of me starting to help others in this journey.
7 years on a sailboat.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Where were you sailing?
It started in Spain. I lived in Barcelona at the time. Oh, there are just so many stories I could share with you. But I met this French sailor a week after I had declared to my friend that I want to be paid for traveling the world. And then I met him like a week later, and he had a boat and he was dreaming of finding a woman who wanted to sail around the world. So I made it into a beautiful blog. I wrote the blog and we had hundreds of thousands of readers following. It was crazy. And we left from Spain. We went all around the Mediterranean to Africa, Gibraltar, west coast of Africa, spent a couple of months there, crossing the Atlantic, arriving in Barbados, and then sailing the different islands in the Caribbean for 2.5 years. And then we went down to South America, Venezuela, Colombia, Panama.
That's so incredible. I can't even understand it. I love this.
It was a beautiful journey. And what also happened during that time is that my awakening kind of started then. Of course, I had all these glimpses from my childhood, many glimpses throughout the years of this protective power and this energy of support, and that things will always work out. But I was awakened to... It started for me, like for many others. It starts with recognizing, what are we doing with the animals? I'm not a vegan today, but what happened then was that friends started to send me all of these videos of animals being maltreated in farmhouses and butchers. And I got so mad and just questioned humanity altogether. What are we doing with this beautiful earth? Why are we hurting others like this? And so I became a vegan. I stopped fishing on the boat and, you know, and so what happened was that I was able to heal I had acne. So I was healing myself through natural means. And that also gave me this understanding that, oh my God, we are so much more powerful than what we thought we are. And the protection of this spirit is everywhere. And the more we dive into it, the more healed we become and the higher we vibrate. So I had to make something out of that. And I began then with studying for a health coach. And I became a holistic nutritional coach, worked with that for a few years after arriving back on land. And I hosted a few retreats in Greece and Mallorca in Spain. And one thing led to the other, you know, start with food, healing, helping people with their bodies. And eventually understood that everything is connected to the mind, to unresolved childhood trauma often. And so I support my clients in reprogramming their stories and their minds, and acquired all kinds of different certifications. And eventually it became, you know, health coach to life coach to mindset coach. And with all of this, spiritual teacher is what I see myself as most, but I do have the experience of everything, mind, body, soul, healing from my own journey.
Yeah, this connection that you're speaking of, right? I feel very much the same. I always knew that there was something. And as a child, I saw godlike spirits above my mom's bed when I was like 5, but didn't have any relationship with what that was, who that was, what's going on. And I love how your explanation of how that came for you, because I feel very much the same. It's really crazy times. I was always divinely protected. It was like, without a doubt, it was like, I am totally divinely protected. Wow. It's such an incredible understanding.
To have that as a child in this crazy world, it's a blessing to know that there is something higher, something divine by your side.
Yeah.
Very, very important and very rare, I would say, but I'm so happy that you have that too.
Yeah. I had I've had like a real crazy life too. And I think that, having that knowing really helped me to still be where I am, still knowing, like still on the path of knowing that we are so powerful. Right.
Exactly.
And trying to learn how to access all of that.
That's right. And then we can refine it. And the more we get curious and we learn more, and the more we surrender to it more than anything, I would say, the more powerful we become. It's like there is infinite power inside, but we just got to open up more and more to it and go through our initiations too. I'm sure you've also been through a lot of initiations over the years.
Yeah. Just on the other side of a big one.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Definitely divinely protected. Yeah. I think that's the awakening. That's where the awakening comes from, right? Is those really crazy, difficult times, right?
I think they were divinely designed as well for you, right? Like we all have there's a purpose, there's a mission that is about to be revealed. And in order to get to that point and have all that power, we have to go through these very challenging moments in order to get that power activated. Otherwise, it is so easy to live a comfortable life and just cruise on by, but it's these challenging moments that really define our power and what we're going to be doing with it.
Well, I think that it's what takes us within.
Yes.
Right. I think that's where you end up on your knees asking.
Exactly.
That's where it took me. And had I not had those experiences, I never would have known. And although I didn't really enjoy those experiences.
No. But it's when you went down on your knees and you asked for support that that support became stronger and louder, and you realized that it's here. It's never gone anywhere.
Yeah.
I can overcome anything.
Yeah, we all can. Like we all have this access, but we don't know about it. We don't know that.
Yeah.
We don't know about it. We're just not, people know about it, but I think that the main society has just been, I don't know, we're just not taught about it. We're taught all these crazy things in school that are irrelevant. And we're not taught how to access our bodies energetically to make our way through this universe.
Which is crazy because we are born spiritual beings first. We come from spirit and we are having this human experience. But if we were guided to actually live from spirit first, from our bodies first, and not the mind with the conditioned stuff, then we would create such a more fulfilling, successful life. But obviously, there's a purpose why they've created the matrix in one way, right? And that's why also I am unschooling my child. Homeschooling him.
Yeah, let's talk about that because I have some real issues through. I have 5 girls, and the whole school system and the whole experience for myself going through it, and then it's really geared for academic students, and we're not all academic.
Yeah.
My whole family, my dad was a jazz musician, my mom was a ballroom dancer, like just a real artsy. Right brain, I got that gift. I didn't get that. No, my sisters did, with one that's just, graduated at 16 and on the dean's of engineering. So that was in the field of our family, but not in my field. I was more on the right brain, and the right brains, it's not really successful. There's not a lot of, but you need to be, society dictates that if you are an A student, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you get to succeed in life, right? You get the respect, you get, everything. And then the people that are not on that spectrum are not as good.
Exactly.
So wrong.
Yeah, and it is a conditioned belief as well, because the opposite could well be true. And we know examples where it is true, where somebody has went for their artistic passion and they made it, and it definitely can work. But because we have been, it's like these belief systems have been installed at such a young age. So we already knew from 7 or 8 years old that if you want to make it, you better become a doctor or a lawyer, or something, more important, right? And so when we have all of these belief systems, of course, it is easy to fall into it. And that's why a lot of artists and a lot of people that are working with the spiritual teaching like I do, in similar ways, they're struggling because they fail to believe in themselves or fail to put themselves into the world in a sense where it creates a powerful impact in the same way. So I have had to reprogram my own money mindset and mindset in terms of, how important this work actually is, and it gets to be rewarded well.
So how are you raising your son? Like, what are your beliefs and structure around what you're doing there?
Yeah, so it began from the very beginning of him, when I realized that I was pregnant, it was like an immediate no. He's never going to go to school. I didn't know if he was going to be a boy or a girl. I waited until he was born, but I did know that my child would not go to school, not have to go to school, because it's not something that I didn't enjoy it. 12 years of your life, you're sitting in an environment that I didn't thrive in, and I know that it's not for everybody. Some people do enjoy it, but for myself, I've awakened to the system of how deceiving it is, first of all, and how it is conditioning us into becoming these obedient workers in the ant house. It's not something that I want to put my child through. And also, when it came to vaccinations and all of these things, it's also a conditioned idea that you need to inject your child with poison as soon as they're born. And that also felt like absolutely not. I'm not doing that to my precious child. I want my child to grow up feeling healthy, strong, not being manipulated from the very second you're born, and then, as it goes on. So for me, I've always had, ever since he was born and before that, I had this view of how an innocent spiritual being with these supernatural powers, infinitely loved and protected by God, is being funneled into a system of brainwashing and really distraction, because they want to turn you into something that is supporting the system, but that is not supporting the soul. And so it's been a very big no for me in all regards. And how I've raised him is naturally, as natural as I can. The first few years we traveled a lot. We started traveling when he was 3 months old. We went from Sweden, where he was born, we went to the South Pacific, spent a lot of time in the islands, Indonesia, close to nature. And really through very spiritual mindset, he's very connected to God, to source energy, but without it being related to any religion per se. But I do teach him about that there are different kinds of ways of looking at God, and it is up to everybody to find it within themselves. I think that's an important piece, because just like in school, and I have this, I'm rejecting the educational system for that reason, is that they're teaching you all these things, and many of which are not even true. A lot of things in school are actually not true. And so if we are constantly bombarded with untruths, we are going to start to rebel against it eventually, or we're going to get sucked in and be a brainwashed, obedient person, right? And so what I know is that for my son, I want him to learn from me as much as he can, but it is up to him to decide what definition he put to the word God, or what does that mean for him. All I can do is share my experiences. And I mean, he already sees it. God works through our life all of the time, and he is a great manifester. He has desires and he speaks them out into the field, and it comes true very often, very quickly. So he already knows that there is a great power looking after him.
Love that. And so is he having an education of like math and English and that kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but in my way, I do it in a way where I'm not following a specific curriculum, but I want him to say yes to it himself, right? So, for example, with reading, he is a great reader. He loves reading now. He's turning 8 in 2 weeks. But when I started introducing the alphabet, for example, he was like 2.5, whatever, 2 years old, I'm not sure. And the alphabet he picked up very quickly. He loved it. But then when I started introducing reading, or like writing or learning the letters one by one, or like putting the letters together, he wasn't very interested for a while. And so what I did was, okay, I let it go. And then I reintroduced it 6 months later or a few months later, just to feel into, is he ready or not for this? And he wasn't for a long time. And eventually when he was like around 6, I introduced phonetics. I have a way of, I found this beautiful way to learn through phonetics. And he picked it up very quickly because he was ready, but he wasn't ready before, right? So it was more about this intuitive knowing of, I follow you and your energy. When you're ready, let's go. And today he's reading all kinds of books and he loves it because it has never been a forced thing. And it's like when he actually picked up reading, like almost a year ago now or 9 months ago, when he really started to actually read through pages in a book around his 7th birthday, I was just looking at him like, this is crazy because I didn't do this. I've just introduced things to you and then you picked it up eventually. And I can't recall that we've actually practiced more than 20 times over the years, in terms of reading. And now you're reading. This is wild. Kids are so intelligent by nature. They're so curious. They want to learn. And you don't need to sit 5 days a week, several hours a day for years to learn things. You can live your life, travel, spend time with your family, live in the magic, and then you will learn, naturally.
I totally agree. And I love that. I think that what happens with the school system is then all of a sudden, if you're not ready and there's other kids are ready, and then you are now having the belief that, you're not smart, you're not,
Exactly.
and that's what happened to me. But I also see that happening with my girls individually, in different situations. And so I love that you're saying that you're following his lead.
Yeah. Very self-led. And yes, exactly like you're saying, because not everybody we're not supposed to follow the same, we're not made of the same energy. We are focused on different things. We have different things we're interested in at different times. And then the school system that makes you feel like you're doing it wrong because you're not following the curriculum, you're not following the other children. And that's just cruel. It's not meant to be that way.
Well, it's the beginning of the whole problem that we end up dealing with in our lives, right? That we're not enough, we're not smart enough,
Exactly.
we're looking at somebody else that they're better than us, and it's just so toxic.
Very toxic. And that's how I see that when you have like a bird's eye view of the system, how they built it and created it, that's exactly what they also want us to feel, right? Because the more we doubt ourselves, the better consumers we will be to all the crap we don't need and all the medication they're going to sell to us eventually down the line, so that we can become lifelong clients to the medical, to the pharmaceutical industry.
I so see that now. It's so plain as day now that it's like we're set up to fail, right? It's it's interesting. And even having conversations with people who are the doctors and the lawyers and had the great upbringing and not the toxic parents, and they also are struggling, which is interesting.
Yes.
I did a coaching course, and one of the ladies there shared with me, I had everything, but if I didn't get that 100% on the test, I was just devastated because, and to this day, she struggles with this huge depression. She's a successful doctor, mother, wife. She's got suicidal thoughts. And I mean, it's crazy, right? Because I don't know, there's a breakdown for sure for all of us.
Absolutely. And it's that breakdown which is really eventually leads to the breakthrough when we just stick through it, because we're meant to break down the old systems that we were programmed into. And it comes through a rock bottom that we can eventually come out on the other side and recognize that there is something greater waiting for us.
Yeah, I love that. That's the
Yeah.
truth. That is the truth. And sometimes, feels like a long time when you're on the when you're fast face planted,
Oh,
right?
yes.
But those are your
Yes.
breakthroughs, right? On the other side of that is, yeah, definitely.
And we become so much more resilient, more powerful in I always see it because I also teach manifestation. I teach energy and how to step into that frequency of infinite support where abundance and opportunities and whatever you're desiring to manifest flows into your life with ease. And yeah, it's
That is what
so
needs to be taught in schools. You need to be sharing that with the school system. Information
exactly.
that we all need to know about that we don't. It's so important.
Exactly. And if we're not, what I want to say is that if we don't go through, if we wouldn't have gone through these rock bottoms and these challenging moments, we would never been activated into that power. So I see it as every hurdle, every rock bottom is really carries the potential of unleashing more of that power, that energetic power. It's almost like, it lights the fire stronger and it just becomes more solid. As long as we keep on going, we're like, okay, I want this. I want to awaken more. I want to become more embodied, more sovereign, more powerful. And your manifestation power is strengthened through these challenges.
Yeah, I think that we really need to understand that though, right? To just keep going, to know that that's what happens, right?
Yes.
That, and
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
myself, I've been through a couple of those rock bottoms already. And so I knew that I would eventually get on the other side. But
Yeah,
I think that there's a lot of people that don't understand that and they give up because they don't have the knowing or the knowledge that there is, so much more on the other side of that that's coming.
absolutely. Yeah, that's why we need to speak about this. And I love that you're doing this kind of interview series. And we need to be braver, those who are working in the spiritual realm, to really go out there and speak this truth, right? To share it with the masses.
Yeah, because like listen to you, like you're so at peace, right? Like you just
Mm,
embody love and peace. And right, obviously you grew up in an orphanage. So it's not like, you know what I mean? It's yeah, what a gift.
yeah. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you see me and you see other people who have gone through, like you've gone through many things in your life, and you still can come out on the other side growing stronger and have more faith than ever. And but there's just so much to dive into. It's such an interesting field. I love this work.
Yeah. So talk to me about like what it looks like to do work with you. If somebody's coming to do some manifestation or energy work, what does that look like?
Yeah. So it depends on where you are in your journey. I work with a lot of women and men who already are in their spiritual essence. They've already discovered themselves as a spiritual being with supernatural powers, and they're wanting to strengthen that power. They want to solidify that frequency of the infinite, the unstoppable, the whatever you desire is already yours, right? And so when they come to me, they typically would share with me their desires, what it is that they're wanting to create. And I will feel into what it is that is blocking them. Because it's not like there is an actual block, it's more an energetic pattern that happens. And I find the block. And in the beginning of my journey, I did a lot of subconscious reprogramming through my childhood story, rewrote my stories, and that work was very effective, both for myself and for other people that I guided. But these days, as I have sharpened my own ability, it goes much quicker. We don't have to go deep down into your childhood and bring it all up and rewrite all the stories, although it has a time and place and it really helped me. But now it really is about breaking the pattern of being the old version of self, stepping into a new version. Because we can do all of the work in terms of visualization and getting your body in alignment and feeling happy. But if we're not breaking the habitual patterns in the physical reality in 3D, we will always be anchored back into the past, right? So it really is the most effective way to do this is to go and break the pattern at its core through repetition. And then you're through these challenging situations or these triggering moments, you are unleashing more of your powers. Like you're unlocking the next step in the video game. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful work, and it goes very sharp, very effective. You know, I have had clients who come in, they wanted to come back with their ex-partner, for example. I had this male client whom I worked with for over 2 years in different ways. And he had an ex-girlfriend who had left him. She had sworn to never return to him. She had moved to the other side of the country, of the world. And he was like, he wanted to improve his finances. He wanted to get his business up and running, make more money, but he also really wanted her to come back. And he was asking me, can we do this? Can you do this? Can you help me? And I said, yes, of course. Everything is energy. So if we change you within and change the pattern in the field, anything becomes possible. But I am not to say that you guys are meant to be together. You may not be. That's not for anybody to decide, right? It's not about changing. Everybody still has free will, right? But still, you can change the patterns in your field that will create a ripple effect that changes how other people respond to you. And so we went to work on that, and we shifted his patterns. And soon enough, they came back. She came back to him, and they got married. I was at their wedding in Costa Rica, and they brought me up on the scene at the after party, and said, amongst all their friends and family, that Taru, without you, we would have never been here. So it can really change everything.
Yeah. So I've been definitely working on that, because the patterns, the problem is we don't see ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why we need somebody who see you, because we're always blind to our own. We're so close to our own doings, our own energy. So it's hard to see our blind spot sometimes.
Yeah, we're offended and we're victimized and we're all of these things. And and what happens is that the story continues, right? It doesn't matter where you are, what people you're with. You know, I found myself in that same thing. Okay, so common denominator is me, right?
Yeah.
So what is it that I'm doing or thinking that is attracting or keeping me in that energy field of, because I think for the longest time it goes to, the shame blame game, right? Of, oh, here I am again. Do you know what I mean? Which keeps even a lower vibration, and that whole changing the patterns. And you got to be somebody new if you want to change relationships. It's so powerful.
Yeah, I can see that most people, we can all fall into this blaming energy or being disappointed with ourselves. But it's just coming down to the fact that one day we just have enough, right, of our own bullshit. And it's okay to just recognize that, okay, I have been attracting this for a while, but now it's time for something else. We draw a line in the sand. We seek guidance, expert support, so we can really step over this line very quickly and efficiently and never come back. But yes, it requires somebody that is willing to do it, because, as long as you stay in the victim mentality, it's really hard to change patterns. So you've got to be brave to say, I'm ready. I'll do whatever it takes. Whenever I get triggered, I will seek support, like be very close to your coach, your mentor, so that you can work through your choice points very effectively, very efficiently. Because otherwise, you know how it is. Like we're ready, we're going to manifest something great. Okay, but here comes the pattern. The triggers are going to come your way, right? So the importance here is that we notice them quickly. You have a choice in this moment, be the old self or be the new self, and just transmute the energy very rapidly. Otherwise, we get looped back into this cycle, right? It's always like we're thrown back into the cycle that spins in the same way, and we're back in the familiar, causing the same nonsense again.
And our egos, we'd like to tell stories that, to talk ourselves out of moving forward and pushing through the working through it.
Yes. The two pieces that are important that I see is the most important, and the people that get the quickest results best obviously those who are surrendered to the process and they're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go all in. And I have somebody by my side who supports me. And I lean on that support until I'm strong enough to do this on my own. That's an important piece. But the second piece, which is very important, I've noticed those who go quicker is those who also trust and surrenders in the higher power that we spoke about. So when you have that team of support by your side, whatever your guides may be, is it God or do you have other spiritual, protectors by your side? But then you dare to lean on it. So you have your physical embodiment of a support system and you have your spiritual one. And in that combination, that triad, you become unstoppable. But it really comes down to then continuously asking for guidance, asking for support, sharing when you feel stuck and continuing to lean forward. Because a lot of us have been conditioned not to ask for support, to be strong by our own and be independent, right? And that's the most difficult place to be because we're all born for unconditional love and support. Then we have to find the people and the guides that can be there by our side because we're not meant to be doing this alone. I wouldn't be where I am without support, without hiring the best people and surrendering to my faith over and over.
Yeah, I agree totally. I think this work is it's so important. And I think that it's just becoming more relevant every day because
Absolutely.
we're in such an incredible, energetic, chaotic time that, we need more than a psychiatrist or a depression pill or I don't know.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And
work through all of these different energy bodies that we have, right? That we're not really aware of.
No, but the beautiful thing is, and I was just talking into my group Magnetic Woman today, which is my manifestation community. And I just sent them a voice note this morning because we're doing challenges every month, right? Getting into that highest frequency, starting to attract miracles on the daily. And it goes very quickly. After the third day, most people already they can feel this, oof, something shifted. Everything falls into place. It's almost like a natural high because you're like, oh my God, this music is speaking to me. You feel it, you hear it everywhere, and everything you're asking for starts to move towards you. And so, so I shared with them because there are new people coming in all the time, and I want to share to the ones that just started. It's like, when you do this work and you surrender to it, it becomes so much fun. We're talking about it because we're meant to, that's how God, a source energy, wanted us to live. We were meant to come here and enjoy our lives and to be fully unleashed in freedom and joy and happiness. And regardless of whatever programming we have, but we got to come back to that. And so when we do this work of daily, touch points with the frequency, I have certain practices that I guide my clients through inside of this community as well. And the more you do them, it's like you're opening up your heart. You feel more love. It's like you're radiating in a different way. You're attracting things like, what is there not to love about this? Like, we have to do this. We need to be constantly in touch with that frequency because otherwise the other option is, I can see that sometimes when new clients come in and they would call me or we would have a conversation on Zoom and they would be, maybe sitting at their workplace, in an office environment, and their energy is so different the first day compared to just a few weeks later. It's a whole different radiance and light because it's like they awaken God in every cell of their body by stepping fully into that source energy, right? And then I always remind them, and it's just so fun to think about it. Like, do you remember a month ago, you were sitting at your office, you didn't know where to go, you had no clarity, no answers, and look at you now. It's like you're unstoppable and everything is coming to you, all the ideas that you needed. People are often procrastinating their dreams because they are stuck in a negative, dense frequency, right? But when you start to open up, it's almost like, what? All the ideas, they were here in this realm, in this timeline. It already existed. It was just for you to go there and catch it.
I love that. Yeah, I was having this conversation last night actually with my boyfriend, and the more that you start noticing the more you get, like, it just, because now you're focusing on what is working, and then more is working and more, and it is so fun.
Yes, it's like a snowball effect in the right direction.
That was exactly what I said last night.
Yeah.
Love
I love
that.
it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So what is so you have a couple things. So you just said what did you call it? The women,
Magnetic woman.
magnetic women. Love that. Magnetic. Sorry.
Yeah.
Love that. So what is that course?
So Magnetic Woman is it's a Telegram community. So it's a private, exclusive community for women, and where I drop voice notes depending on what the field requires and what are the desires and intentions. So almost every day there are updates, voice notes to tap into, and then we have a call every second week. It's a beautiful opportunity. Now I'm just giving you like the layout of the structure of the program, but what it really is, it's for women who are so ready to anchor into God frequency as their new standard. Like they're ready to never forget it again. Like this is the place you come when you're like, I am done forgetting my power. I'm done giving away or outsourcing my power to anybody else. I am ready to be that frequency, embodying that bliss, embodying that abundance. So that's the way that I designed this, is for the woman, for myself, who I was back then when I was still worrying or kind of lost. You know how it is. Sometimes you start and then you drop because you have a lot of stuff going on, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I designed this in a way where it's impossible for you to ever forget who you are, the power that you have inside of you, because this channel keeps you accountable, keeps you connected, keeps you anchored. So that's Magnetic Woman. And other than that, we have, I do private coaching.
The God Body Method.
The God Body Method, yes. It is a beautiful new program that I just launched a month ago. And it is the culmination of all of the work that I've done over the years. I didn't know that I was ever going to come back to health coaching, but this is not just health coaching, but it is also health coaching. It's about honoring this beautiful queen that you are, this absolutely mind-blowing goddess who came here to not only create the life that she desires, but also flourish in your finances, feel good in your body, feel unstoppable, feel radiant from the inside out, feel strong also, because we need to have this masculine energy, right? If we're always in the ethereal and we're just in this feminine frequency, that's beautiful, but we need to have solid discipline and structure in our lives and carry a lot of strength and spine in order to make these big shifts. Because when we are stepping into a new identity and we want to break patterns to become a more unstoppable version of self, we have to be so powerful in the choice points that we're like going into the fire as a warrior, right? And for me, it has helped so much with exercising, taking care of my physical vessel, building strength for my personally through strength training, lifting weights has been really good for me. And so God Body Method is really putting in the discipline, the structures, and getting your body on board with your identity that you're claiming, and then working with the spiritual energetic laws as well. But it's like this full-on program for the woman who want to be everything that God wants for you. Like this highest level of fulfillment, the highest version of yourself who has made all her dreams come true, and who is as, glowing from the inside out as you are meant to, deeply rooted in your own faith, in the way that you believe in your higher power to support you.
That's awesome. I love that. This is really, really, I don't know, this is good stuff. This is the stuff that we all need to know. And
Yes.
like, it's all the stuff how to get to within, right? I mean, I know that the exercise, the weights, so you're feeling strong in your body and the energy's flowing, right? It's because we get blocked energetically all the time, right? So we got to get
Absolutely.
that energy constantly flowing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
this can be unique for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
It all depends on what your body wants, right? And it's not every day that I want to lift weights either. Sometimes it's more of a movement, you know, dance practice. And it's like you're saying, it's about moving the energy, like keeping the energy in flow, because we are more energy than matter in the end of the day. And so if it's not moving, if it keeps getting stagnant, of course, we then get stagnant in our minds. Of course, we will stall with our dreams. We won't make the right decisions. Things feel hazy, you know, get brain fog. So the energy constantly needs to be in movement. And when people tell me that I am glowing or I'm radiant or I'm feeling balanced, like you said something like this before, and for me, it really comes down to letting the whole of me be in constant momentum. You know, it doesn't mean that I'm constantly doing things, but like I am constantly in conversation with God. I'm moving my body every day. I nurture my feminine every day. I look after my masculine. Like there is this dynamic and dance that sets me free. And I think that shows externally as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You just are glowing. You're just, yeah. Yeah. Your work is definitely, embodied right through you, like just shines right through you. So, I
Yeah.
think that, whatever work you've done and wherever you've been has totally, it's totally
Yep.
it's just there. And they say, you know, you don't need to talk about it, but you need to embody it and live it. And you
Yes.
definitely are that.
And so, and when you say live it exactly, you know, and there's so much information out there, so much information, and it gets very overwhelming with social media and all the things we could learn. Yes, we do want to learn, but also actually it's the embodiment that's the most important, right? You know, you can learn as much as you want about manifestation and energy work, but it is when you put it into practice and when you start to break the patterns, that's when you notice that, you know, you get more and more solid in that embodiment.
Yeah.
I think that's really
Dr. Joe
important.
Dispenza says it's not enough to just know, you need to know how. Yeah.
Yes, he's an important part of my journey too. One of the most important teachers in my early journey, Joe
Me
Dispenza.
too. I'm actually going to see Dr. Joe for in the Mayan Riviera here next week.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going
A
to do an
retreat?
advanced. Yeah, he's doing an advanced workshop there for the week. So I am
Beautiful.
excited. Yeah, I did one shortly after my daughter passed, but I was still just so deep in grief that I did.
Oh,
I mean, I got so much out of it, but I didn't feel that I, you know, really embodied what was being taught there. Um, Actually had a great
oh,
experience with him on a cruise ship with my daughter. We went and did a Mediterranean cruise, and that was an experience of a lifetime for sure. So yeah, I'm really excited to go
mm.
back and be in that space there for a whole week. Be great.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about your daughter.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a big one. It was a big one. It was it
Oh,
was like a whole craziness went on for about, my dad, my sister, my daughter, my like it was just, I lost everybody all, and it just kept coming, right? And then my marriage, and then like it was just a pile up, and yeah, I feel really grateful to still be standing.
oh, and I feel gratitude for you that you said you have 5 daughters.
Yeah.
That you have like nothing can ever replace any of them, but still that there's a lot of love in your life. You have a lot.
Yeah, I was blessed with adopting my granddaughter at 3 months old. Her and I, she's like a little Buddha baby. Her and I, we healed each other. Yeah, it was
Children
very
really have that
difficult,
ability.
energetic times, and then going through nasty separation, divorce as well, which just to chop everything off. They say a lot of times through the death of a child that marriage is pretty much, a lot of them
Oh,
don't work, and I don't know, it just changes you. Your whole body is changed in a whole, like you're not the same anymore. So
no,
it's
I
having
can't even
and
imagine. I'm
having to
so
go
sorry.
yeah, having to go through that process and then find out, like, hey, who am I now? Right? Like, where am I now? Yeah.
Like
So
recreating yourself. in a way,
Yeah.
because something so huge is missing.
Yeah, it's such a gift, these children of ours, right? They definitely are our teachers. That, you know, we're here messing them all up, trying to tell them, you know, you got to do this, you got to be like, you know, it's such a shame because we're ignorant to the fact that what we're doing, and you know, force them into these little things that we think, you know, our parents taught us, and their parents, you know, so that we
Yeah.
into the societal way, and it's just so damaging. You know, it's yeah, I'm really grateful to be awakening to the fact that it's not the way. It's just, and I've always known that. I've always, but to really understand that what's happening there is not healthy, you know, for our kids. And I don't know. My one daughter, she is home. She's at home doing schooling, and she did some counseling. And the counselor said to her, you know, are you doing drugs or alcohol? And she goes, I am 15 years old. And it just makes me laugh, because if she was in high school, she would definitely be doing drugs and alcohol, probably, because
Yes.
it just is there. You know, they're trying to
Yeah.
fit in, and they're trying to be accepted, and
Horrible.
that's where all that starts.
That's where it starts. Yeah.
So, but it just makes me laugh. I am 8 years old. I'm
Yes.
not making her do drugs. It's just it's such an awakening for me to be like, wow, you know, thank goodness that she isn't there.
Exactly. And how wise she is, how strong in herself, and having been able to maintain that confidence and wisdom because she is not out there being destroyed.
Yeah, the children seem to be coming in so different these days.
Yeah.
She's definitely not of the, you know, she just doesn't fit into that mainstream box at all.
Yeah.
And, you know, which is tough, because if you're not fitting in, then what are you doing, especially when you're younger, right? So it's definitely navigating that has been really big, really big. Because you're going against what you're supposed to be doing, and everybody's in judgment of, you know, you're supposed to be at school, you're supposed to be doing it right, and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So what are you doing? Like, it's a constant stress, and not a stress. Well, yeah, it could be definitely a stress, but I love speaking with you, and I love your perception and perspective about how you're raising your child. It's so healthy.
Yeah. And I'm so amazed that you adopted your granddaughter and you're taking all this big weight on yourself. You're amazing. You're a superwoman.
Yeah, feel like I'm getting a little old for all these kids. She's 7 now, and she is, oh my goodness, she's just amazing, you know.
How old are your daughters?
Yeah, I had one every 9 years for the first 3. Clearly not planned.
Wow.
Yeah. After 40, I had two babies, both premature. My first premature baby was born, she was 2 pounds. She was born just shortly after 26 weeks. And that was an incredible journey as well. And she is now going to Arizona University to become a doctor. So that little girl, yeah, she's like, she walks in the room, well, 2 pound self, which is light up the room. Yes. Yeah, really proud of her.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, you know, you said something, you said it wasn't planned, but you know, your soul wanted to have these experiences, right? And so you follow your heart and you just went for it. Whatever felt like the right thing to do, you did it. And it turns out amazing, and you're doing incredible, and you're raising these beautiful people.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all so different, right? And yeah, it's been definitely the biggest blessings in my life, for sure. Yeah.
Of course.
Definitely the most difficult as well.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like to think sometimes, you know, as someone's, you know, you hear this, that we chose this life, we chose these experiences, right? And sometimes that thought actually can be comforting. It's like, okay, even my most difficult moments, the most hurtful situations, at some level, I was meant to go through them. There is something deeper here, and this is part of my dharma, my mission, my purpose here. And I'm meant to grow from it, right? And so yes, we give space to the grief and to the sadness and the anger and everything that needs to come through. But on the other side, there is something massive as well for the soul's evolution. And eventually, I believe that we come back, to spirit, and we recognize that it was, oh my God, that journey made so much sense.
I really enjoyed our conversation today.
Me too.
You are a real gift to our world. And I'm going to make sure that all of your notes and how people can get a hold of you are posted with our podcast. Is there anything else that you want to share with us that we didn't touch upon? I mean, you have a lifetime of incredible stuff that you are sharing, but in this short little period of time.
No, the only thing that I would want to give, which is something that I always want, I feel sometimes like, this, I just want everybody to be happy, obviously. I want everybody to find their true selves, underneath the programming, like you and everybody who listens. There's just so much in you. There's a light that is yearning to come out and become who you're meant to become. And only you know what that is meant to be, but we got to take that first step and just keep going, because the journey of unraveling our purpose, it's so beautiful. And I think if we can live in that frequency of magic, I don't know if you've done any plant medicine ceremonies or psychedelics, and I'm not saying that that's maybe, what everybody needs to do, but, when you're in a ceremony, you can feel that thread of magic, right? We are meant to get high off of life naturally, and this is the work that I do in manifestation and in Magnetic Woman. As a side note, when you step up in frequency, it's like you become naturally high off of life. And you can still do your plant medicines if you need them, if that's part of your journey, part of your healing journey, or whatever you may use it for. But for me, the purpose of every day is to feel so connected to that magical golden thread that I am just in constant awe. And that's what I've noticed for myself and for my clients. You are getting everything you want that way. Like you become absolutely undeniable, because it's like you're given the gifts that you said yes to. So you say yes to magic, and more magic comes. Everything is a mirror.
So yeah, a lot of I know that a lot of people are doing the psychedelic journey, and I know that there's incredible healings that are happening, like the Sean Ryan podcast, like a Navy SEAL, and just so many of them.
It's been super huge for me as well. I've done a lot of it too, especially in the beginning of my journey.
Yeah. And were you doing like the ayahuasca or what exactly?
Yes, It started as I came off the boat 10 years ago. I was called to do ayahuasca to heal my childhood trauma, forgive my mother, forgive, what had happened in my childhood. It was not like I was carrying conscious resentment, but you know how it is underneath, right? The sense of unworthiness and why did I not get what others got? All these feelings. And so abandonment wound, definitely. And mother wound, father wound, all the wounds,
Yes,
and so
we all have.
Yes. And so I did ayahuasca, and I was transformed the first time. The first session, I was a complete new person. And then I went on to a retreat a few months later for 3 nights. I did more ayahuasca. And then every year I've done ayahuasca pretty much. I also had a retreat in Mallorca where I brought in shamans. We were doing ayahuasca with my clients. So it's been very important.
I would like to do the ayahuasca. And I actually found there was a place in Costa Rica, and I think Greg Braden went there. But I still haven't, it hasn't transpired for me yet. But, and I do think that there's a little fear there, you see people throwing up and shitting themselves, and I'm like, that,
Yeah.
And then, but the transformation that is coming out and the healing of the PTSD and the, I endured a lot of brain trauma as well during this period of time, just concussions and like what, I kept smashing my head. I was like, okay, what?
Oh.
So there's, I know that there's lots in there that needed to be healed, but I think that that would be an incredible experience.
Absolutely. If you found a place that you have, you've done your research, you know that this is a safe environment, because that's crucial. And if you trust the place, and I'm sure it is if Greg Braden's been there and he's promoting it, of course it's going to be good. But you know that in that sacred environment, people will protect you, they will look after you. There's nothing that can go wrong. And the vomiting, yes, it's common. Pretty much everybody does it, but it's such a little, like it means nothing. Because first of all, you haven't eaten much. So it's really just negative energy that comes out. There's not much more to it, just darkness that you want to spit out. It's necessary for your process. And the transformation that you're opening up to is absolutely, like, there's nothing like it. There really is nothing like it. I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be this grounded and embodied without it. It has been very transformational.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that that's really important to have, that personal testimony of that, because there is so much unknown about it, because it's not, again, mainstream. But I know that the healing that's coming forth from the psychedelic, I don't know, people are doing all kinds of different, like the LSD and all kinds of things, right? And there's some huge, huge healings that are coming out of this, which is
absolutely
wild.
LSD has also been really important for me. I did it for a couple of years. 10 years ago, it was during a 2-year period that I did LSD healing. I would say it wasn't set up in that way. I did it with friends that are very conscious, and they guided me through this process, and it awakened a lot. I became very conscious of things that I did not see about myself and the world. And so for me, it was very helpful and fun, very fun. And now that I, when I'm working with energy and I raise my frequency and, spiraling upward and forward, you can get into the same sense of there's so much power here. Like, we can bend reality with our minds, with our energy, our frequency. So it can definitely be very helpful to have the experience of different medicines like that, or, plant medicine and psychedelics.
Yeah. Love that. I love that. I know, just like when we were kids, we would do, out of the cabinets of mushrooms, and definitely, me and my girlfriends are telepathic, and, we were really, I think we really came into knowing that we were powerful back then.
Yes. Yeah. And it opens your mind too. It makes you, it bends open something from this rigidness that we were raised in, and it helps us see things from a different perspective.
Absolutely. I know I learned how to, I learned all about the cannabis. I went to work with my ex-husband at Supergirl, who's head of transportation, and our businesses were in there. But the Teamsters, our team, they bring me like actual, this is the truth, right? And papers and stuff that I've never seen, because, we have this societal thing, oh, it's bad, it's frying your brain, like all of these negatives. And then find out that that's not the truth at all. And so what happened for me was, I then healed my hands. I couldn't even open up a door, but the coconut oil with the cannabis syringe, I'd mix it together and I'd put it on my hands, and the swelling would go in half within 5 minutes, and then no pain. Like I literally couldn't open doors for a couple of years. And then,
so powerful.
It's incredible. And then, just having that information that we're just lied to. There's so much.
I know, it's crazy that we are, it's been suppressed so hard that people are, people are relying on something that is actually hurtful, instead of having the real truth about how we can heal.
Yeah. And then I would, they have like those little pens or something, right? And all the, everybody has had this at the production studio, right?
Yeah.
So I got into that, but what I would find was I was able to see myself from three different, do you know what I mean? From three different perspectives, instead of being just embodied in pain or whatever was happening in that spiral down. I was able to see it from all different perspectives, and that, I think, really saved me.
Yes, exactly. That's what I feel too. It's like you need to have different perspectives. Like we mentioned earlier, like we're so close to ourselves and our own struggle in the moment of going through something, that we need different perspective, right? We need the guides, we need the support, and sometimes we need a plant medicine. We need something to like give us a little more like an understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. That you are okay, right?
Yeah,
Or okay, like you're not that,
exactly.
Yeah.
Because the mind can get so loud and it just fixates on something and it makes us spiral. So if it's just us and the mind, it can be a very difficult life. Definitely need our allies.
Yeah, and then it just seems like everything around you is of that negative energy as well, right? And so being able to pull yourself up out of that energy,
Yeah.
that's the gift, right?
Yeah. And it's good to, for myself, I've been through many rock bottoms and they definitely helped me because they were the activation portals into something greater, more power, more understanding. But it's also good to not wait for a rock bottom to change, right? We want to, we want to change our identity to create a different reality and different outcomes. Okay, what can I do then? Like lead with that energy of wanting to do it before shit hits the fan, before it gets difficult.
Well, and I think that the victim story that happens for us all, we're not realizing that when we're in it, that we're actually taking ourselves down by really getting stuck in it. I think that we just don't know how to when that spiral starts, how to get out of it. Like we just don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But the beautiful thing is that it's in seconds, right? Because it's like every reality exists right here. All the timelines are open and available for you. So it's like cutting the circuit, like cutting the vibration and shifting into a new reality. It happens in a second.
Yeah.
It really doesn't have to take a long time, as long as you just make a conscious decision to, okay, I'm going to change the pattern and I'm going to step into a different timeline, and that's just it, right? Sometimes we can make the whole healing journey. And I remember I did this in my own journey in the beginning. I made it be more complex and more complicated. And I was stuck in a cycle of healing for a long time. Just, okay, I need to heal this now and this and something else is wrong, right? But actually, you're already whole and complete and perfect as you are right now. And the path to what you want is right here, right now. There's nowhere else to go. Like all you got to do is get yourself disciplined with shifting and breaking the pattern and do it and do it and do it. And boom, it's gone, right? And so we can get stuck easily because human nature likes to problem solve and feel like a victim. But we can as quickly transform and transmute energy and be right on the path of a complete different direction.
Yeah. And then when it's coming up, just being aware that, okay, that's that. That's all that.
Exactly. That's where it comes.
Diving into that. I'm not going to do that. Yeah. I'm not doing the deep
dive. So keep that objective.
Yeah.
Keep detaching more and more. So when it comes up again, you go, oh, here it is. Yeah. I'm not going to fall for that again. It's not part of my new reality.
Yeah.
I'm not that old self anymore. And with practice, obviously, nothing was easy the first time you did something, right? It's like with everything we're learning, it's always difficult in the beginning. Same with breaking patterns. But the more we do it and the quicker we do it, the more devoted we are to it, the easier and easier it gets.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, that is awesome. That was a good little stint. I love that. Mm-hmm. So when you're going to do your next course with the ayahuasca, make sure that you let me know.
Absolutely.
Join you.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. There's actually a place in Orlando that I've taken clients to sometimes here in Florida. A beautiful place. I think they're closing down now, but it's been a great place for my American clients to come to.
And is it illegal there? Like, is it something
No, it is. You need to be registered as a church, so it's a religious. So it's called the ayahuasca church, and yeah. So if they're licensed as a church, it's fine. Because yeah, so you can do that for religious reasons, like they do in Brazil and.
Yeah, I did a podcast from Peru, which I think is the only legal place, right? They
Yeah,
said, yeah,
probably, yeah.
yeah.
Anyway. Did you do a podcast with someone?
Yeah, they had a place there where they were doing. It was a healing center, and it was a retreat for an ayahuasca. So we'll have to dive into a little ayahuasca one day to do some.
Of course, I'd love to do that with you. Magical.
Sounds good. Okay, well, I'm going to let you go for now, and I'd love to catch up with you again soon.
Absolutely. We'll stay in touch. Thank you so much, Jacqueline.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for hanging out and learning with me about how we can become the best version of ourselves. See you next time.